everybody, Adam here. So, continuing with, questions from friends on Twitter. I have another one today. This one is kind of a shorter one because it is kind of a shorter question, and it's just the one, so... Alright, short video today. But the question is, basically, she wants to know, is it true that when you exercise, your muscles tear and then become stronger? The answer is yes and no. So there's actually a few different mechanisms. Well, that's a misnomer. A few is not true. There are a lot of different ways that your body gets bigger and stronger. And so there's a lot of different factors at play. And sometimes, and the cool thing is that your body is really good at adapting to a variety of different stimuli in order to keep growing and to keep getting stronger, etc. So, there's a lot of different factors that go into, your success when it comes to building muscle or building strength or improving movement or whatever it is. And so the question is it true that muscles tear and become stronger? Yes. So one of the ways that our muscles react to exercise is mechanical tension. So mechanical tension is the absolute amount of weight and, for how long you're putting it on your muscles, on your body. So basically, if I'm doing, a lot of bench pressing at a certain weight, that weight, stresses and tears the fibers of the muscle, and then, the body has to repair those. So it repairs those, and, maybe it adds a few extra in for good measure. It adds, some length to the muscle, it adds some size to the muscle, etc. That is, at a very basic level, how mechanical tension works. At the same time, there's other ways that your muscles get bigger, too. There is a long hypothesized and probably true theory, basically called, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which basically means that it's not just the muscles themselves that are growing, it's also cells, like fluids and cells that are inside the muscles, which, when you add more of those too, then you get more size, even if it's not the actual muscle tissues themselves. And so that seems to come about more as a result of basically what is called exercise that stresses the metabolic aspects of your system. So if you are to take a power lifter, someone who trains primarily for strength, and they are working very close to their 1 rep max, that's the almost, basically the maximum amount of mechanical tension that your body can hold. If I'm doing a deadlift around my 1 rep max deadlift, that is the maximum amount of weight that my muscles can lift. At the same time, that does not cause the greatest amount of hypertrophy. We kind of know that, basically at any rep range you can build muscle, but, it tends to be better in the hypertrophy range, the standard hypertrophy range, 8 to 12, 8 to 15, whatever. And it tends to be a little bit less good at the highest end of things, which is, of course, the strength end, and at the lowest end of things, which is the endurance end. So, why is it that, the hypertrophy range tends to be better? And the answer is because there's less mechanical tension. You're not damaging the muscle fibers as much, but you're getting a lot more of that metabolic, burn, which is, what gives the pump that, bodybuilders are fond of chasing. And, on the very other end, at endurance, it's obviously you're doing a lot of that metabolic training, you're getting a lot of that burn, but you're not putting as much tension on the muscles, so you're not tearing them, as much either. So that is why, that's two of the main mechanisms of hypertrophy is, basically metabolic and, mechanical tension are two of the big factors there. So, is it true that muscles, tear and rebuild? Yes, that is absolutely true. It's also true that that's not the entire picture. There's a lot of other stuff going on at the same time. It's an extremely complex process. If you really want to know about, training to build muscle, I recommend the greatest book of all time. I'll go get it. It's right over here. It's sitting on the ground. You can see it. Science and Development of Muscle Hypertrophy. Good friend Brad Schoenfeld. Brad's a great guy. I drove him to get drinks once. It's basically a textbook. I'll admit it's like 50, 60, 70 bucks or something like that. But Brad is one of the foremost researchers on muscle development right now. And he knows, oh man, you can talk to the guy, you can be like, hey, do you know that study with, this thing and this other thing? And he'll be like, oh yeah, such and such, 1998, these guys. He knows it all by heart. There was one where literally someone was telling him about a study, and he's like, that's not an American study, is it? And the guy goes, oh no, it was a European thing. And he goes, because if it was American, I would know it. But so basically, you know, he can do it a lot better than I can. He's a lot smarter. There's a lot more factors that go into this. Trust me, I'm giving you an extremely simplified version. If you want it straight from the mouth of the true genius, you should go check that book out. Otherwise, you know, I do the best I can. So, as always, like, comment, share, tell me what you want to see in future videos, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good night.